Hello guys and welcome back. So I decided to create this small project here from scratch, and we're going to try and create an explosion and integrate it over a live plate or a still image, and set everything up from scratch, do all the shadow catchers and everything, and try to seamlessly integrate the two elements. So I have the explosion here, and I chose this image from the web, and I cropped it to 1020 by 1080 with horizon line being here. And the idea is we're gonna create a grid and place the explosion somewhere here. I'm not sure yet, so we're gonna figure all this out together. And then looking at the background here, there is a very sharp shadow, there is a very sharp light, sunlight, but the sky is very desaturated. It's not, most of the lighting here is coming from the sun. There is not so much from the skylight. And the taller the object, the more shadows the object has, the more it's going to pick up the skylight. So we're going to pick an HDR from this web. This guy is very generous. He decided to give all his free HDRs, all these HDRs for free. So we're very lucky to have people like this. And I'm gonna use this one, and the reason I took this because it has a nice highlight area, and I don't want the HDR to give me this shadow. I want to create an actual sun and manually place it to match this. But we want some illumination from the sky and a similar ground. So I'm going to use this. The green, this looks like it has more green, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. So let's see, let's download the 4K version. And I'm going to browse to this folder and run txmake to convert it into a TX file. Okay, let's load this in. Let's first place the camera and call this render cam, and let's load in the background image. So view background, cool. So, and let's place this. So this explosion, I believe, goes up really high, and I have transparency turned off from the viewport. I'm going to show you how I did this. So under view, under effect, turn on transparency, and this is going to make it much faster to work with. So this explosion drifts to the left a lot, and we're going to try and place it in an interesting way. So I'm going to create a grid and have it match what we have in the shot. Okay, something like that. I'm not going to be able to match it 100%. And let's take a look at the first frames. Let's hide the grid. Okay, cool. I think this is a good start. So let's call this ground. Ground catcher, and this is the Arnold volume. So we're going to leave that. It's fine. We're going to create two shaders. A ground shader, a ground diffuse, or ground shader. We're going to change it later to be a shadow catcher, and then another one for the volume. We're not going to do anything crazy here. I just want to show you guys the entire process from scratch, so there's nothing secret. Okay, let's go here, standard volume, into the volume, and let's turn on the emission. I don't want any fire for at the moment. And remember, we have the LUT workflow. So when when we're gonna do the compositing comp, we're gonna apply the LUT to the image. So this guy is gonna get treated using the ACES workflow, the ACES LUT. So it's gonna change the colors, and that's fine because we want to apply it uniformly to everything, and we're gonna grade the explosion to match the graded plates. So you can turn it off completely, or you can have it on for all of them. Okay, that's good. Let's assign the volume and the ground. And for the ground, I'm gonna give it a color. It doesn't matter. We're not gonna have any GI from the bottom, to be honest. Something like that. And let's create some lights. So an Arnold light. And let's make sure it's a distant light. Call this sun. And give it a yellow tint. Let's increase the intensity to 10. Give it a shadow of 4. This is early in the afternoon, so it's not. You see, it's aligned almost, and it's very sharp, so it doesn't have a lot of blur. I'm gonna call this sun for the AV. Give this color yellow, and let's place it. Let's increase the icon so we can see it, and somewhere something like this is good. Okay, let's copy this. Call this sky dome. Give it a blue color. And let's load in the HDR. It's going to be the yellow field TX. And we can also have it visible. So let's do that. We're going to have it visible on the background. And this image is, we need to place it later in comp. But we can actually do it here. We can place it, we can project this image onto a plane if we wanted to get a feedback while doing a render, but I'm not gonna do that at this point. So let's hit render. Let's actually create an Arnold node. So by default it uses Mantra, and it's rendering the Mantra is rendering the background, but I don't think we have that in Arnold. So I like to be explicit about everything, so I'm gonna force these two guys. And I'm gonna force the lights. So these two lights. And let's hit render. Alright, and this is with the HDR. So let's change the sky dome to be a lat long, and let's give it an AV called EMV. So I'm surprised that it looks like that. So it should be, should see this line somewhere. Sorry, the sky dome has orientation, so I'm gonna zero out everything. Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's turn the light, one of the lights off. For now, I'm gonna turn off the sun, and let's tweak the sky dome to have that yellow spot aligned with the sun. So something like that. It's still too bright in my opinion. Something like that. Okay, and let's add the sun back, say 10, and let's set this to 0. And there's some shadows here. I'm gonna rotate it a bit. This is fake. I'm going to fake this a bit. I want to see more shadows. Let's do this in the viewport. So let me change this to a scene view. Let's select this. I think this is good. and let's add some softness to it. Okay, cool. So we have that, and let's take a look at this sky dome again. Okay, cool. Let's see this guy. Let's increase the sky dome to 3. And for now I'm gonna hide the ground. I don't need it. I'm gonna use it as a matte. And I'm gonna turn off the HDR from the viewport, from the render. I don't want to see it. So let's do that here. Contribution. And let's add the sun back. And looking at this image here, everything seems to be very well lit. So I think this dark area here is very under illuminated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first tweak the shader a bit, but let's go back to another frame. Let's go to 48, for example, where the smoke is not that big. Okay, and let's tweak the shader. And I'm going to increase the, I'm going to lower the density. Let's try 0.1. Okay, I think this is much better. And let's add some, let's tweak the shader, add some colors to it. Okay, change the scatter color. Something like that. And let's see if we have volume scattering or not. We don't, so let's increase this to 2. I want 2 bounces on this. You can see it's very filled. Let's try one bounce is good. And let's go back to the sky dome and let's compensate for this back now. So 1, maybe 1. 1 is good. Let's tweak the colors again. Increase this. We don't want the smoke to be blue. We want it to have some kind of dirt color. So we're gonna use something like this. But I want to change the exit color to have a different tone. And we have to be very careful with this. Actually, I'm gonna go with red everywhere. Yeah, I think this is more realistic. Let's increase the density a bit. Cool. Yeah, I think it's working. And let's see. It's good. Let's add some fire and see what we get. The temperature field is not loaded in, so let's load that in. Okay, it's too bright. I don't want this explosion. Actually, you know what? I think this type of explosion, we don't need fire at this moment. I just want it to be dust, as if some kind of missile hit it or something. Let's see, maybe this could work. Okay, we'll do one with we'll do one without first, and then go from there. Okay, so I think we have everything. We have the sun, and we have the sky dome. Let's increase this to 2. I think 2 is better. And let's do this. Let's add the AUVs, the RGBA sun, RGBA EMV. Let's take a look. Cool. That's our environment, and this is our sunlight. Okay. Let's do one more thing, which is increasing the render settings. So I'm going to set this to 7, and let's set this to 6 and this to 4. And let's add 2 more AUVs. Volume direct and volume indirect. I want those 2 passes. Okay, our first pass. Let's save this, and to save it properly, let's comp smoke, call these out, smoke beauty .v1.xr, and to save this properly, we need to make sure the gamma is set to 1. So I'm gonna turn this off, set the gamma to 1, and save the file. Alright, so this is our first pass. And let's copy this and call this smoke beauty. And let's copy it and call this ground shadow. Now for the ground shadow, we're going to change the shader. I'm going to create a catcher, shadow matte, and connect this guy. Okay, I'm going to set the color to 1, and then for the, we're going to set it to 1, we'll do 2 separate passes. And now let's go to the out, ground shadow, or let's call this ground sun shadow. I want the sun first, I don't need any of the AUVs. And let's set the smoke to be phantom, forced phantom, and the forced object is the ground catcher. Let's change this, and I want only the sun. Okay, that's good. Let's call this EMV, and let's make sure the settings are good for this guy. Okay, all looks good. So let's save this. Smoke sun shadow. Let's change this and make sure we're loading in the NV light, or this guy can't remember the name. Cool, so that's the line that we need. Actually, I'm going to increase the settings a bit, I think. This is a super quick pass, so I'm going to increase it to 12 there. And then let's save this file. EMV shadow. Cool, I think that's pretty much it. We're gonna start compositing this in the next video. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in a bit.